Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Seems like so. Okay, we are 7 people. Can anyone say something so I can hear if it's working?
Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me? John McCone?
Oh, wait. Okay. Sorry, my Bluetooth headset was connected. It should work now.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello,
John.
John. Nice to
hear
be
you.
on
Hi.
a call with you. It's Natalia AI. Good to see you. Thanks,
Oh,
Thanks, Daniel, for letting me in. And Susanna, nice to see you here. It's our first time in digital.
Yeah, this is the first time we've had
I still have a problem
what's
with
it,
the
a
sound.
face-to-face, well, a sort of real-time combo, yeah.
Hello. Hello. Good crew. Daniel, thank you for organizing.
1 second.
Who is Ziv? Ziv, you want to introduce yourself? Don't know.
I'm just I'm a lawyer. I have a startup. It's sort of real world asset. It's not really network state, but I go to a lot of network state events. I'm friendly with
RWAs is close by RWAs. Nice.
Not really.
Where are you geographically
RWA has
located?
nothing to do. RWA has nothing to do with network state. Not at all. I think it's the opposite, actually.
In my head, it does.
I don't think it does. But you know, I've read Balaji's book. I read it when it came out, and I read it now. And I don't know if you know Build Cities, and there's a lot of different projects, and so I'm just keeping track of all of them. You know, there's it's interesting what's happening, but you know, we'll see. You know, like I'm still waiting to see what this network state stuff's really going to be, and I'm myself, I'm writing a lot, and I have an attraction to the network state ideology, but the problem is that much of it's completely wrong and it will all fail, and unless it changes. And so it's always a process of change. If you read enough history, you'll realize that social movements, they rise and they fall. And so I'm very curious because there's a lot of energy and a lot of youth and a lot of interesting stuff going on in the network state stuff, but I want to see where it goes because you know, worshiping money is not the basis for a new world, right? Like that's not really going to do anything new about anything. And just because Bitcoin is new and it's actually not so new anymore, it's nice, it's good, but it's not a new religion. So you know, but I'm excited. I'm that's why I'm here. I go to a lot of events. I talk to a lot of people. Um, and I may go to Chiang Mai in September, maybe I'm not sure, but I might.
Awesome. Super cool. Nice to meet you.
Okay, guys, I just want to say hello. I had a problem with my headset, but now it's working again. So I'm just admitting the other people who want to join the call. So we are 8 people in the moment. We have Susanna joining from Austria. Actually, she's from Czech Republic, and she's starting a regen farm in Portugal. We have Josh joining from Loki Life. He wants to do the same, but basically be a platform for it. So I admit him. Then we have John, one of the early guys who was there from the beginning. We have C. Kirsch, who just spoke and said we should not worship money, which is a little bit hard to explain to the libertarians. We have Nat. Hello. We have Eric, Mickey. I never met you or spoke to you, I think. We have Josh. Seymour, you're not Josh from Loki. And that's it. So, Eric, maybe you want to introduce yourself shortly.
Hi. Sorry, I just woke up. I'm just an individual. I just quit my job in a different industry and wanted to research network states. And I went to the network state conference in Brussels at ECC, met quite a few interesting people, and currently I'm staying at Prospera, enjoying Vitalia and some of those activities. And next few weeks, I'm gonna go to Argentina and see Crecimiento and a few other things like that, like in Uruguay. So I'm just exploring the space and getting to know the people. Ideally, I'd like to live in one of those places if I can get a job anywhere. That's about it.
Nice. Say greetings to Niklas. We miss him here in the calls.
Okay. He's quite busy. There's an event this morning. They're starting the Human Augmentation Summit today.
What kind of summit?
Human augmentation.
Okay. Sounds interesting. I don't know what it is, but human augmentation.
Cybernetics, cyborgs, this sort of stuff.
Got it. We have Tudor joining. I think he is also a network state pioneer. At least I know his name for a long time. Tudor, hello. Do you want to introduce yourself shortly?
Hi, hello. Yeah, I wasn't expecting this. Yeah, I'm Tudor, originally from Romania, and the most relevant thing that I'm doing is a directory of freedom communities, freedom projects, people, jobs, events. It's called Free Citadels, freecitadels.com.
Yes, exactly. You do this together with Andrew, right? And others.
Yeah, he's a big supporter, yeah.
Nice. And Titus as well, no? From the Free City Foundation.
Yeah.
Good. I heard about and I looked at the website. So this is really nice that you bring together all of the different movements. Susanna, she was about to give a talk, but just texted me that she's unable because the Wi-Fi is weak. So this is also something we should take into consideration when we want to start a network state and the Wi-Fi is weak. So yeah, we should take it a little bit with humor. I will check out the others. Who else is here? Maybe Josh, you want to introduce yourself shortly. I don't know if we spoke before. Josh Seymour.
Yeah, I haven't made it to one of these Zooms yet. I'm happy to be tuning in today. Going through the morning routine. I'm in central Mexico, and I'm a family man with a couple of young daughters. We're relocating to Spain for the school year, so I think I'll be in a closer time zone to some of you starting in around September beginning. And I like the sentiment of just, trying to get familiar with the space and get to know people. I think there's a lot more going on here in this group and in like the Telegram group than just the concept of the network state, but I look at it as just some innovative thinking to the concept of a parallel society, which is not a new idea. And I like how there's a lot of intersection of many different spaces for some reason organizing around this. So the momentum is good, and let's just keep going.
Yes, exactly. Maybe if you can introduce yourself, Joshua from Loki Live. You are right now at the airport, no? You landed for some other network state offline conference somewhere in the US, right?
Yes, hello. Hopefully you can hear me okay. This is not my best headset. Is the audio okay?
Yes, it's okay.
Perfect. Yeah, I just landed here, living the true nomad life like always, traveling everywhere always. And I just arrived right now in Nashville, Tennessee for the Build Cities and VDAO event. So alongside the Bitcoin conference here, we're having a Build Network Cities event, which there's a whole series of events that are hosted by Build Cities, Build Republic, and VDAO, and a few other groups that are working together on this. And so the Build Republic is really a lot of builders, professionals in the space supporting projects. and my project is Loci, L-O-C-I, and that is the Latin word for places. And we are developing a geographically distributed portfolio of real estate for digital communities. So we are tying in the circular economy, dual token economy, economics for communities, and we're working on the hard stuff. We are building out these cities. We're dealing with the hard things, including the finance, the governance, the actual operations, and the things that are necessary for people to live together. I'm a big advocate for helping the entire movement, and we are pushing a lot of media production also to support all of these projects. So if you have any projects that you're currently working on and you want help in supporting this, we're here to promote everybody and raise the awareness.
Yeah.
Thanks for putting this together, Daniel.
So, yes, Josh, if you like, you can later go a little bit more into detail because Susanna dropped out from freedom.com because the Wi-Fi is weak. So if you like, then you have 7 minutes and just present your project and we see how we can connect the dots. But someone else joined, so let's welcome the other person, Nahuel. Is this the guy from the network stage?
Hey, yes.
Yes. Introduce yourself.
Oh, not too much to say. I'm Nahuel from Argentina, very nomad. I'm currently in the Emirates. Just looking around what's going on.
And you were involved with the upcoming, you are involved with the upcoming network state camp, or am I mistaken here? No, you're not. Okay, so I'm mixing up things. But somehow you're involved with the Balaji's network state core group, or am I dreaming here as well?
Actually, I don't know. I think you added me a few months ago, and then I started to read about it. So just
got it. Natalia, do you want to introduce yourself to the others because I think they didn't meet you?
Yeah,
didn't meet you yet.
I'm also focusing on the building physical locations, distributed network of locations of different kinds, including the freedom like communities, TDF. I'm currently in Portugal, and homes, private homes. It's really that. Also very deeply studying and co-creating a concept of post-web. I'm very deep into privacy and security of communications for us. I think without that, it's going to be difficult to make things work. So building a mesh network of post-internet, post-web locations where we can have our own internet. Currently focusing on EU and definitely will be expanding once the MVP is done. Very happy to be back in these calls then. Thank you.
Yes, nice. Just one thing to clarify, Nahuel, you are the guy with the nickname crypto something dot something?
No. I'm Alejandro.
Oh, okay. So that's
my
why.
first name is Nahuel. I'm using Zoom because I have preset with the company and stuff, Nahuel, but actually I'm Alejandro.
Got it. This is why there was a misunderstanding because someone else from the network state camp said he wants to give a talk today, but he didn't join yet. So maybe he will join later. That's okay. 2 speakers, cancelled, but that's okay. It is how it is. Maybe just a short intro to myself, why I'm doing this and where I'm coming from. I make it short. I started the co-living house here in Malta in 2017, already thinking big. Co-living will be a big industry. We wanted to protect our little movement with some technology because we thought a lot of investment money coming in because it's a real estate business. So we thought about already like a community which is not owned by any registered entity. It can be owned by no one. This was super idealistic, also about co-ownership of properties, utility token, security token. Then I met the co-founder of BitNation here in Malta, Janina. They started BitNation as one of the first network states back in 2014. And I started to connect the dots, what we are doing with those co-living communities, which pop up all around the world. And there's a crazy growth. Like 2017, there were maybe 10, most of them in Asia, a few of them in Morocco and Spain and Malta. And in between, it escalated to over 300 of those co-living houses. So this is like the target group we are focusing on in the moment. And then, yeah, I had this basically in my head. COVID came 2020. I saw how traditional governance is being misused and driving it full force against the wall for various reasons, maybe because complexity of humanity is exploding. The only way to keep it down is with more and more pressure. Anyway, we're not going into that. I was like, okay, we need to reactivate BitNation. I tried to get the team together. They collected at the highest point of their ICO 17 million, but they lost the energy and they were not able to pull it off. This is how I met Andrew from also like the City Founders Group and who is doing free citadels. And suddenly I went on a conference here in Malta. I spoke about the idea. We call it digital empire state of mind. It's not good because empire is already aggressive. So then the book Balaji came around. I canceled my PhD because I wanted to write a PhD about that. And then basically we started. I was invited as the advisor for Your Justice.live, the first network state as a service platform. Unfortunately, the war in Ukraine started, and this was a Ukrainian startup. So it was not supposed to happen. But of course, a lot of learnings came out of it, and it will happen. This was 2021, 2022. 2 years passed super fast, and I'm still here hoping that we are able to attract the right people with the right understanding. So I'm a software developer who also opened the co-living and who also tries to understand humanity. And my intention for that call is, I think all the knowledge we put together in our Telegram chat is a lot since 2 years or 1.5. Different thoughts. And if we take all of that and feed it into AI model, let's take ChatGPT for now, and another one, which is a little bit more, not like unbiased. And I think we can create the ever-evolving network state book. And we don't need to fight for different ideas. Everyone puts their idea there. And I think this is something we should do maybe till the end of the year. I think this is pretty impactful. Then we can stop arguing about the worldviews, whether it's too American or too libertarian or whatever. And everyone has ability to express themselves. Okay, Astrid just joined. Maybe Astrid, if you have time because you are busy. Astrid is a brilliant human being who joined as the first person in our we wanted to build and we failed, and she was one of the first people there because we also threw the network state movements at one meetups at 1.5 locations. Anyway, Astrid, say hello.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, I was a little bit delayed, but thanks so much for joining. And this moment is magic, so let's make it happen.
Yes, exactly. Astrid, she also had experience with running a pop-up co-living. So yeah, we are aligned here. Anyone wants to say something before we give the mic to Joshua from Loki Live? Because I don't want to be the dictator here in that call. No.
I have a question. I do have a question. Can I ask a question? It's I just want to ask a quick question before we start. Is there like a topic by time? Like is there a an explanation of what's to be spoken about? Like I didn't see in the format what the topics are. Is there like an actual
The topics were, first of all, presenting the network state camp. Second, Susanna talking about freedom, which is similar to traditional Dream Factory, what Sam is doing in Portugal. So they bought land and they used token in order to distribute the ownership as well as organize the usage, like utilization of that land via tokens. And Susanna wanted to give a talk, but maybe she can make it, but she tried, the Wi-Fi is weak.
Okay, thank you.
So unfortunately, but we will deliver on that. I will do an interview with her, or she will join next week. So the schedule for now is Joshua talking about Loki. And yeah, and then later we just, openly discuss our thoughts, approaches, and have a conversation. But the main goal is also to build trust amongst us, because some of the people, they know each other for a long time. And I think trust is important in what we are doing. So, Joshua, do you want to shortly introduce Loki and where you're coming from, what your goals are, what is your roadmap, and where you're standing in the moment?
Yes, still standing in the airport, waiting for everything to move along, of course, as a lot of us are in our project. Yeah, I will very briefly speak a little bit more about Loki specifically, but also a lot of my effort really is to push the whole movement forward. So I speak a lot in generalities, and then I use Loki as an example of how we are working to deploy this. If you lose some problem with my audio, let me know. Otherwise, I'll just keep talking for a little while here. Yeah. So again, we're actually using a very simple existing model in the US. And one of our approaches has been how do we actually create these solutions and develop the minimal viable product as soon as possible. So we're using financial vehicles and structures which already exist, and we're just turning them inwards to create the circular economy effect. So to put it simply, we have a real estate portfolio that we're developing, which is held by fractional ownership. This is very common in the US and everywhere else in the world, fractional ownership of real estate. Usually it's among accredited investors, so you have to have a certain requirement to be an accredited investor. But we are launching our program through crowdfunding, which has become very popular in the US and is a legal way to offer investment opportunities to all retail investors, regardless of their income, and opens up the door to everybody to participate in real estate investment. And then on top of this fractional ownership model, we have a functional timeshare model. So timeshare is another function which is very common, but usually you're paying a lot of money for timeshares and you don't own anything. So we have a model that we say that this is timeshares that don't suck because you actually own the property. So we are tying together the ownership with the use of the property to create an economy that is essentially a business model and functions as a prosperous business model. A lot of people in the network state have an idea that there must be no business involved, no investment involved. Our approach is that we want to make functional models that will be sustainable and will continue to work. And in order to do this, we need to have operating models that will actually take care of the expenses of running an organization and a land and property. And so we're focusing on a model that works, but because the members are owners in the property, any of the gains and profit and anything that's generated goes back to the membership. So this is where we start to actually adjust the economics of the system so that it flows back into the community and profits the community. We are a for-purpose organization, so our focus is purpose, but we can still have a profitable model. And so our focus is the purpose and the impact that it has on our community and all these stakeholders around our community, including nature and the social impact in the area. And of course, there is some profit because we operate it as a profitable business model. So this is kind of just the idea of how Loki works. Some of the ethos of Loki is that we want to be a gateway drug back to nature. So one of our main models is to create micro communities, small communities, 15, 20, 25 units in very beautiful nature areas so that people have access to nature and they can stay there for longer periods of time. So it's not just a vacation, not just 1 week or so. You're actually going to nature to stay there. And in nature, we believe you find healing. And when we heal people, we make better people and we make a better world. So this is our approach generally. A couple quick comments about the industry across the board that we're really promoting. One of the most important things I think right now is to understand that there are very specific audiences that are being attracted to the network space. So we have intentional spiritual communities, which have been around for a long time. We have regenerative agriculture communities, which are more focused on the actual agriculture, produce, sustainability with produce in nature. There is real estate audience, just the regular real estate investment audience, and of course the crypto tech audience. Now these are very different audiences, but they all are looking for the same solution, which is human solutions for society. So our focus is really taking the ethos of the network state, which my understanding is the most important thing is to create parallel solutions for societal needs. So we welcome anybody who has any solutions. I'm very involved in the Build network, Build Cities network. And so anybody who's working on real solutions that take care of social needs, we really want to bring everybody together, promote everybody, push everybody forward, and bring all the solutions together so we can accelerate things. So there's a little bit of what our focus is on right now, and this is why we're holding these events. Somebody mentioned they went to the Brussels event, so that was one of the same events that we're holding today, hosted by Build Cities, VDAO, and a couple other sponsors. And so this is where we have a lot of the workers who are doing regenerative work, intentional communities, community governance, fractionalized ownership, DeFi, DPIN. These are all the people working together, and these are exactly the type of events that we're holding to popularize everything. I'll be in Singapore for a Network State conference there. Like I said earlier, we're looking at promoting and supporting other projects. So if you have something you're working on that you want to gain some exposure, we're going to start holding interviews with project leaders and people who are building and really out there working on these solutions. And I always welcome anybody to reach out to me, and I'm happy to make the connections and support everybody in the effort.
Thank you, Josh, for the first breakdown of what you do. One thing, you should speak to Matthias from, where is he from? Bulgaria. He bought a whole hotel, 200 rooms, and he's doing it without tokens, so the traditional way. Co-ownership of a huge hotel. I think no one is doing anything greater than what he is doing, so he's a pioneer in Bansko. I think you should really reach out to him and maybe have an interview with him, because he's all over the traditional mainstream media. So I think this makes sense. And then the second.
Which one is this? Sorry?
Say it again.
Who is this you were mentioning?
Matthias from Co-Living Zemkova. I will send you the link. Is a German guy who is who put Bansko on the map as a digital nomad place here in Europe. And he bought the whole hotel, and they already sold 150 apartments. So that guy is not playing, and he's not using tokens. He's using a traditional legal structure in Bulgaria. And they are selling apartments starting from 8,500 euros. So it's a no-brainer, basically, to invest there. Second thing is about monetary motivation. Of course, in every local profit center, we are dealing here with reality. Like when you want to live somewhere, you have to pay. Like we are not absolutely dreamers. But the idea that you had a token, like a token, which just has a monetary motivation, which is driving your network state, this is wrong. But the local profit centers, of course, you need like to pay. This is we are not crazy hippies. Like that's clear. But just pump and dump, we are building a network state. This is wrong. So of course, ownership.
Yeah, and if I can say one more thing to the tokens. It's important, I think, for our application, for people who are focusing on building these solutions, to understand another very important separation that makes things very difficult for a lot of people to understand. When I speak about attracting different audiences, the most important thing I think we have to be doing is focusing on the UX. If we want this to be an adoptable solution, we need to create solutions that are entirely approachable and tangible for any normie. I consider myself a champion of the normies because the people who need to be served are the people who do not have the ability or time to deal with setting up their wallets and dealing with these NFTs and all these things that are barriers to entry. So we actually have to figure out how to create solutions that eliminate most of the tech integrations that we have learned to use. Those things that we are now comfortable with are still barriers to entry for the rest of the audience and the rest of humans. So a big impact that I'm really thinking of is how do we do this in a way so that we're not emphasizing tokens, crypto, new tech, but rather we just say that there are software layers which manage these solutions. And so my approach is that blockchain is incredibly powerful, but the only thing I'm interested in that space is how it is most efficiently operating all of these solutions that we need to provide. And so the token play sometimes is like a distraction and then people start to speculate. I don't care about the token play. Like we have a functioning accounting system based on blockchain and there's a token element, but this is just part of the solution that serves the human need. And so to emphasize the human need is the most important.
Thank you so much. I totally get you. This is also my viewpoint. We need to build the clue in between all of those services. So you solve accommodation. Someone else, Susanna, yesterday they had a Twitter space about unschooling their kids. So someone will solve education. Someone is solving insurance, maybe the guys in Switzerland from safety wings. And you go on and on and on, and you figure out the pillars of control or like a flag theory or things a human needs, but we need to have a clue. So just, you know, solo projects, solo crypto projects, no one understands. It needs to be put together. And this is something which I always say, we have WordPress, which is powering whatever, over 40% of the web or whatever. And we need to do the same, but we call it WordPress. And instead of the plugins, okay, which solve a functionality, those are like dApps, like decentralized apps, maybe where you can book your stay and so on and so on and so on. So that's the way forward. A network state platform will be the clue between those different service providers, if we talk in capitalist terms. Clearly, this is what needs to be done. We have two more people who just joined. So maybe, guys, you want to just shortly say hello.
Hi, guys. Hi, Daniel. It's Michele. I'm also from Malta.
Michele.
Yes, how are you?
Hello.
How are you?
Good. Are you with Raul?
Sorry? No.
Are
I'm
you
not
with
with
Raul?
him. No,
Okay,
not with him.
Yes, so I know, Michele, we are also introduced a digital nomad visa here in Malta. So also this is something to mention. We need to hack the system from behind. We need to play with the current power structures. Malta said, come here, 42,000 euros in a year minimum requirement. You don't have to pay tax the first year. You can bring your family, you can bring like your spouse and your kids, and you get access to whole Europe, like European Union, to Schengen area. And Michelle helped with that like 2 years ago. We did this here in Malta. Already over 1,500 people are here in Malta. Most of them from the African continent, which is super surprising. They have really weak passports, but a lot of them have really successful software companies. So we need to hack the system from behind, and I think a digital nomad visa was the first step. So we need to play the game. But someone else joined as well. Franz. Franz Toulet.
How are
Hello.
you, Daniel? Hello, everyone.
Good.
Okay, I'm speaking from Cordoba, Argentina. I was just invited by Eric here. And I'm doing a PhD research on network states, also seeing if this concept or reality can help us in global governance as a decentralized way of making global governance. That's the main title of my research, okay? And then I'm interested on seeing and checking all these movements that are being created. I already loved what you said about creating alternatives to to the actual institutions of how the world system works today. And I see the network state as an opportunity for us to create new institutional frameworks, basically, that are parallel to the existing ones, no? The modern state, basically. I'm not sure if it will be in the actual narrative of startup societies and all this anarcho-capitalist way of thinking, but that's my own opinion, right? Right now, what I'm doing is studying this. Okay, so thank you for having me here. It's a good opportunity.
Yes, I can connect you with a lady, a professor from Cambridge. She is doing the same. In autumn, they have a conference. She's part of our group. Her name is Daniela. I can connect you with her. Like this autumn, this fall, they are doing a conference there.
That
And
would be beautiful.
Yeah. But we are not the only ones. I don't want to tap into negativity, but we are not the only ones coming from an academic viewpoint who is working on alternative ways of governance. And most of them who have a PhD, they are not sovereign. They're just executing ideas someone put in their brain. So we need to be really curious about universities developing new ways of governance, as this is not research, this is just repeating propaganda. Sorry, but that's it, my negativity. Franz, really nice to get to know you. And our ideas, just to repeat it shortly, also to generate like a knowledge base based on our Telegram chat. So if you put a scientific paper there, the idea is to feed all of this into any AI language model, which is capable of handling those large amount of content, and then have ever-evolving GitHub, you know? I think this is smart, because then we don't need to fight if this is an American anarcho-capitalist idea or feminine divine or spiritual hippies. It doesn't matter. I think this is achievable goal for this year.
Count with me with that. Yeah, for sure. And I will also be thankful of this contact with Daniela from Cambridge.
Yeah. Yes, I will send you. Just text me on Telegram.
I will
send you the.
I will later ask for your contact to Eric.
Yes.
Thank you again.
Thank you. So Susanna didn't manage to join, unfortunately. So I think we can open up the mic and just have a discussion. I will be quiet and hand it over to you. Anyone who wants to start.
I'd like to ask Joshua regarding your Loki project. How many acres do you own? How many bedrooms do you own? And how many members are there?
Hi, John. Thanks for the questions there. We have just started launching here as far as our actual real estate portfolio. So we only bought one small property in the U.S. so far. And our model is actually geographically distributed portfolio of real estate. So we're not just building a town, we're actually acquiring properties and operating them across a wide area. So right now we are starting in the US with a few different properties that we're selecting in very specific regions, including the Pacific Northwest near Seattle, Central Texas, and the Asheville area near Appalachia region. And this specifically already serves a large digital community that we're connected with, the people who travel between these areas. Our membership is still pretty small right now. We're just starting to actually launch our membership drive, but we've taken a little bit of a different approach than the traditional network state approach, where the network state approach is to build a digital community first and then work on the land. And the thing is that we are already connected to so many digital communities, and the land is a very difficult thing to actually deal with. So this was the point of starting Loki, and specifically the name being Places, because our focus is working on the places and creating the model so that the digital communities can then plug into the land that we have set up in an ownership model.
Yeah, I think Sam, who's got Traditional Dream Factory, he also has a platform called Closer Earth, and I think he's actually interested in just letting intentional communities from everywhere just plug into that system if they want. So like how many acres in the property that you own? Like was it Pacific Northwest, or how many acres?
Yes. This is a very small one. This is 1.25 acres. We're only putting 2 units on this one. We are working on another property up here that we're negotiating on right now that we're going to probably buy into. And so one of our main approaches is to actually buy into or acquire properties that already have facilities on them and that we can expand on. So generally, we're actually looking at properties that have, 3 to 5 available units on it, with space that we can then add more units as we grow. And so our focus really is so that as we grow and the membership demands grow, we can respond quickly.
When you say units, do you mean bedrooms or houses?
The house is an AU and the shop. And there's actually also a very nice like van life type of parking space for people who are just moving by short term. The model for the micro communities is a mixture of different style residences. So we consider every unit that is a rentable unit must have its own bathroom. This is one thing that's very important. We're not specifically trying to design co-living places. We will have co-living units, and those will be for short-term use, usually nightly, weekly, used for people who are just staying short-term. But our main model for the micro communities is really to have separate units where people have their own space, and there's a variety of shorter and longer term spaces so that people can intermingle, stay longer, stay shorter, and then we have common areas that are shared for the community.
So tell me about the membership, like the number of members. Are there like gradations of membership in the sense that some members are kind of serious and actually shelled out for the bought the accommodation, and other members are just sort of on the message group but haven't really invested yet? Or like how's the membership distribution work in terms of seriousness, and what are the layers of membership like?
Well, we haven't even started marketing really. We are just now starting our marketing campaign. So the members that we have are small, and they're just friends, family, people who have been part of this lifestyle and are moving it forward. Some people have already put money into it. We've already raised some of the money from the community for the land that we acquired. And there are a few people who are just supporters and are just, put some money in there. One thing that's important is that our membership is not like monthly fee based. We didn't want to make a monthly fee for our membership. So we only have a one-time buy-in for the membership, which is a very reasonable cost. And then what we do is we offer the point system, which functions like the timeshares at very highly discounted rates. And then we have the equity buy-in option as well that we're launching right now. So it'll be an evolution over time, over the next couple of years, to make sure that we are designing it the way it best serves the membership. But we have an immediate plan right now to start operations, and then we'll keep refining it.
And finally, roughly, when do you anticipate you'll start your first operation outside the US? Like, how long do you think it'll take?
This depends a little bit on Singapore. There's a lot of talk about interest there, and we have already partners in other countries, Netherlands, Portugal. We have property available to build on in Panama. So we have multiple other countries where we have people that are interested in the model and they want to participate in that. And so as we're launching and designing these conversations are continuing, and if the land is already acquired, that is faster. If we don't have to build, we can start operating it, that's faster. So we're really at an intense inflection point right now where we're really starting to build out the team, bring in the additional properties, and expand on the model to start attracting these other properties as well.
Well, definitely let me know if you've got if you ever open up any operations in Europe. Definitely, I'd be interested. Feel free to DM me. I think that's all. Yeah. Thanks very much. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I dropped my link in the chat here. If you want to just reach out and set something up, so we can make the initial contact and follow up from there. I'm going to the conference right now, so it's a little hard for me to grab notes. But definitely reach out to me. We're looking for all the strategic partnerships, and we have a lot of contacts in Europe, and it's all about bringing these together to activate the property.
Yeah, I'd definitely be up for meeting some of your contacts in Europe. Yeah. Okay, I'll send you a DM after the Zoom. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, one person joined, Jim. So before we ask Jimmy who he is, I just want to mention one thing, Joshua. So I'm from East Germany, and in Soviet times, they had hundred thousands of apartments, those typical Soviet apartment blocks, really ugly, right? And the Soviet Union collapsed, and they were still there, and people needed a home. And they didn't have a model how to operate this in a capitalist environment because they didn't need to be profitable at all before, right? So they managed to pull off huge housing cooperatives, which work since 30 years. My father was the head of it, one of the big ones. That's why I have some insights. They have the lowest prices, they have the highest quality, and he makes sure that in every house the community fits. Like if they're only old people, he will not put young people there. So this is a model which is working in a capitalist environment, but still somewhere in between pro-humanity, because everyone owns a part of that cooperative. As long as you're a member, and the moment you exit, even if the cooperative grew, you will be paid basically the positive interest, like like the you know what I mean, the difference. So you make even some money on the way. Jim, do you want to introduce yourself? Jim.
Hello. Thanks, Daniel. It's good to hear you, Joshua. Really awesome. Hey, I'm Jim. I'm in Manila, Philippines right now. So I just saw this link to this roundtable discussion yesterday. Was posted at mapoperator.crypto in the TNS camp. Not Discord, Telegram. So I'm just logging in to kind of just learn from everybody and listen in. That's all. But please continue. Really, it looks like there's a really good discussion going on. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. I messed up the timing, the time zone. So apologies for that. I'm just gonna listen in for a while, just to see what everyone's is discussing. But it looks like this is a really good discussion that's happening right now. So that's awesome.
Yeah, Met Operator was supposed to give a talk, but he disappeared. So our two speakers disappeared. He asked
Great.
me
He's an
like
awesome
yesterday.
guy. Matt is an awesome guy. Very awesome
Yeah,
guy.
so maybe
Very
next
active.
week, or we do a separate interview with him. That was the person I mentioned before who was involved with the network state camp. Nice.
He's very passionate. Very passionate guy.
Maybe one thing which we touched briefly. So, online first or offline first? I think, Natalia, you have something to say here when it comes to offline first.
Yeah. Look, guys,
quality of the community.
I've been experimenting deeply with living without a phone for over a year and operating completely without, devices when I'm going out of home. And I've been changing homes about, I would say 40 times this year, and just navigating in these privacy realms, figuring out what can I personally do to protect myself and my people from being tracked and removed, all different ways that we can be removed. And I have to say, it depends, to answer your question, Daniel, it depends on the personal priorities. I'm coming from Russia, guys, like it's serious, I'm not coming from, say, US, which I've lived at. And if I had an American passport, I think I would have a simpler, way of thinking about our approach of protection of our communications and coordination. But personally, I developed this concept of two concepts I'd like to share now. Scale technocracy, so allowing our citizens or members or audience to choose how much they actually want to plug into Singularity and AI, how much they want technology.
I just think your reception is a little bit bad. Maybe you can hold your phone a little bit higher when we talk about
choose to be plugged or libraries and or individuals where they can. Yeah, it's windy today, so let me just go inside. Yeah, so scale technocracy, meaning giving choice for people in our networks, so how much they want to be plugged into technologies and how much of tech they actually want to use in their network state approach, and having solutions for all people in the scale. So my perspective of going into more spiritual technologies and developing skills like telepathy and heart-based navigation systems and intuition. Yet I understand not everyone is like me in that way. So I'm just standing by that idea of scale technocracy on the scale of 0 basically being plugged off in the future. My plan is to be plugged off of the online world within the next 2 to 4 years. That's quite quick. And then I believe that it's okay to use AI and technology to operate and govern and test that, but we cannot rely on it, obviously, in our whole operations. That's the first concept, is the scale technocracy. The second concept has to do more with, again, this mesh networks and ability to create basically sub-internet and help us connect these locations on the physical proximity to test these sub-networks to have a protected, Ethernet network between these locations. And another thing, the reason why I believe in RWA's real-world assets being a very key to the network state story is because I believe in going into people's homes and noticing by the items that they own, how much we can trust them. Meaning that, for example, if Daniel comes visit my house and leaves this shirt that he's wearing, and I'm going to do a screenshot now of Daniel wearing this screenshot, meaning that I have a digital asset proving that he wears this shirt. When it is in my house, say, somebody can wear it and somebody will say, oh, this is actually Daniel's shirt. So it means that you're connected with Daniel without knowing, how and stuff like that. Meaning that we'll have these clues in each other's homes and each other's, say, wardrobes to connect us to each other for the privacy and protection of our communications and our identities. Another last concept I'd like to share to that topic now is that shared identity. It's quite edgy. Think about it having several Natalias, and all these Natalias have a similar, say, direction in life and purpose. And we share that identity to confuse the internet and the governments on who is which Natalia, so that we can distribute the potential harm. I mean, that's edgy, and not a lot of people actually want to share an identity. I'll share with you a little bit of my personal story. I shared my device with someone and he used it for some time with all the things open, and then something happened, and then he deleted everything from my device and I have no protection against it. So we still have to configure, trust levels between each other, understand who we actually can share this, say, devices, which really does correspond identity, and be able to share these devices with, knowing that we can trust the whole network, not only that individual, you see, because people who come to these meetings, we are going to be the leaders of a lot of people's, voices. We are the voices of a lot of people already. So we have to take responsibility to build trust between each other so that we can trust each other's networks. Okay, I guess that's it. I mean, if you have any questions to clarify things, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you so much. I'm always thrilled about your super futuristic thinking. If we think one step ahead of the zeitgeist, you think 2 steps ahead of the zeitgeist. So that's really,
right. You're right.
Really valuable. But for me, let's go back to 1 step, ahead of the zeitgeist. For me, it was like a really basic question. You have a group, it's really easy to bring 20,000 people into a Telegram group, build an online community and everyone is interested to make money, but there's no story being told. There are no emotions being involved. And I did run a co-living, and I tell you, the magic, is happening here on the dinner table. When people kiss, when they share stories, when they feel emotions. And this is what is happening, like in the note, in the co-living. People kiss. People have the best time of their life. People this 20-year-old guy from whatever Belgium meets the 70-year-old professor from UK, and then something is happening in their brain. And this creates emotions and this creates substance, I think, for a community. And then the question is, how do you transport that into an online world and you keep continuing having the same substance and the same intensity of interaction? And I can only tell you out of my own experience, people move into a node, into a co-living house. We're talking about co-living because those are the most prominent nodes. They have a great time, you know, they have sex, they kiss, and we are humans, no? And then there is a really intense conversation going on in the WhatsApp group. What do we do today? And they organize themselves. And this is beauty. You can remove yourself as a community leader. But then once they leave and go to a different place, how to keep them in the loop? And this is then when I always see it dying, like I see the interaction dying out. So this is something we really need to solve on a global level, on an online level. How can we create the same intensity and translate offline to online? Maybe we don't need to do this, and the human interaction is being mined and the different nodes, and we don't need to care about the global community. Like, they will start to develop a relationship because they like what was happening on the ground. And then they understand that this network state can help them to have the same experience somewhere else with the same like-minded people. Also kind of protecting them, yeah, as Natalia said, she is from Russia, and maybe she has some problems in Europe because out of a sudden we kick them out. For example, here in Malta, the moment the shit hit the fan, all of the digital nomads who were from Russia here, even though they were refugees because they were gay or something, nice people, I know them, they were kicked out of Malta. So what could I have done as the guy who introduced the digital nomad visa? Not much. I could have spoken to the newspaper, but order came from the US, right? Malta can do nothing other than, okay, we kick out the Russian gay guys. And I think once you have that community who stands for each other, you know, once you have really 100 people who had nice experience with emotion somewhere, they will fight for the Russians who got kicked out. And we don't need to reach 100%. I think it's only about the tipping point to have a voice and saying, wait a minute, we are not doing that. And this is stop playing, but I think in our lifetime, we really need that social protection net. And this is value which you cannot buy. There is no insurance in the world you can pay to be protected, because in the end, this is how the world works, you know? Humans, blah, 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 manage. But this was just the input from my side. But now I shut up and open the mic again.
So basically, like, I mean, if you think about what could a community do if Russians were kicked out, I mean, basically the only thing they could do is give the Russians a place to live in their basement. So like you say, okay, you can live in my basement, and then they just disappear. That's the only thing they could really do if the government says that.
No, the thing is, and I'm always speaking the truth, but I'm learning also to censor myself a little bit nowadays. So the guy of BBC, the CTO, was part of our Coco Hub group or even Network State group. I'm not aware. And he called me and I said, Daniel, everything what you are saying that we are forced to implement AI APIs, like where you send a comment, if someone leaves a comment behind, like below an article, that will be sent to an AI which is not owned by the UK. It's probably American. And they decide whether this is wrong or misinformation or conspiracy. And then they get a yes or no. And depending on that, they publish the comment or not. And he said, and I swear by God, he said, I quit. I cannot do that evil shit against free speech. This is the BBC. Don't you think we have more of those people like the CTO of BBC? I tell you, we have a lot of smart and powerful people. And that's the protection net, because this guy was also looking for protection because he was scared to open his mouth. And if he is scared in the UK to open his mouth about something where you should not be scared and speak about it, but he was scared, he didn't have the balls. So Elon Musk destroyed BBC for their propaganda. So I'm not, you know, like the people we have in our network, they are powerful and they are attracted by the things we stand for. So to answer your question, if 50 people in Malta would have gone on social media, what the fuck is happening here? Can we please protect them? That's my friend. We make an interview with him, you know, telling his story. Why are we kicking him out? He needs protection. Why are you kicking him out? So the power is with the people. Honestly, you can change so much. And most people think they have no voice. This is not true. You have power. Just open your mouth and bring some people together. The Soviet Union, I always say it, of course, was ended because it was time to end that. But it was ended by 1,000 people in East Germany, in my hometown. They were the trigger. They said, no, stop, no, just no, because they organized themselves. And it's really easy to have power. Like, I mean, it's easier in Malta than in a bigger country for sure, but we talk about scale, you know. I think that's, I hope I answered the question.
Yeah.
Also, I would not want to live, John, I would not want to live in a basement. I'd rather, you know, be that person that comes back to my country and builds within. But thanks for thinking about it. Yeah.
A question to you, Natalia, actually. Your group of people, are they actually building computer hardware? Like, are they actually like building computers from circuit boards and stuff like that? Or is it just a software thing?
Yeah, of course, hardware is part of it.
How many, do you have hardware skills? How many people in your network have hardware building skills?
Good question. Not that many. Yeah, not that many. I would say the reason why I was in Prague so much, because it's more of like anarchistic, techno orientalistic type of place where more people are interested in that than spiritually aligned yet not so action driven people I meet here in Portugal. You see, I really enjoy nerds, being around nerds and playing with technologies, but I'm not saying I have like a whole network of say 144 people around me that are technologically as savvy as I would like to see them. I mean, it's still an initial state. The locations I'm building is 144, but I only have 2 right now. You see, it's only starting.
So how many people would you say you know who you simultaneously know and are like engaged in putting effort into your effort? Who would have?
Those are not my efforts. I'm synthesizing, okay, different groups. So the numbers of groups I'm, able to work with without receiving any money is limited, right? I would say 2 groups. And within those 2 groups, I would say like 250 people in the chat tops. But out of those people in the chat would be maybe 10 that are technically advanced in order to be able to actually build hardware and software for the mesh networks needs. Not that many people, John, still.
10 is pretty good.
I also think the moment our communication will be shut off or censored, or we know that it's being intercepted, I think then there will be a technology like an answer. You know, the moment they shut down Telegram, first of all, the developer of Telegram will find a solution. This will happen pretty fast. They have the money, they have the skills. So I would not. It's nice to think about that, but the moment the necessity arises, technology will answer. It's so simple.
We are quite smart. I agree with you, Daniel. I think we are adaptable. We're able to adapt to these like challenges, and the innovation will only grow when we feel challenged. Like I know it by my own life and connecting with amazing individuals right here. I see the life stories that brought us here are quite magical.
If I can add something, I think that you are familiar with Parallel Nepolis in Prague.
Surely.
They're really, I mean, an amazing group in this sense. And of course, this is like a freedom enabling technology. And it's very interesting your kind of approach to obfuscate, let's say, communication by sharing, the identities. It seems to me quite a bit similar to Tor. But on the other hand, I mean, I don't know if this could be actually implemented because, of course, if another person says something in your name, maybe you can face real world consequences. So I don't know, how do you face this? How do you solve this challenge, or if this challenge doesn't apply in your model?
Oh, it's
Because if you share
definitely a
your
challenge,
yeah.
Mikhail. Yes, thank you for noting that. And also regarding Tor, Tor is one of the key, technologies for privacy across the world, including CIA works on it, and uses it. Yet there are not that many Tor nodes in the world, you see. So it's a small network. That's why it's so slow. So I would encourage everyone here, if you have a location, please run a Tor node. To answer your second question, which is way more challenging actually than cybersecurity, is the human factor. How to make sure someone who uses my identity doesn't abuse it. Hey, I'm living it through my own experience. I don't have the answer now, but yes, I'm collecting this experience in this shared identity paradigm. And I have to say that one-on-one direct human connection is one thing, right? When we spend time with each other offline is definitely huge advantage. Well, second thing, how healthy we are. Individuals, how healthy am I? How's my energetic state? How's my mental state? How's my emotional state and physical state? And making sure that my emotional, all my states can match your states wherever you are at. And I'm not inviting people who are in less than my state. You see, I want to surround myself with healthy individuals, healthy like I am. I'm not saying I'm fully healthy, but I do want to make sure that we match our health state so that we can not allow to backstab each other or to betray each other because someone else is in a lower state of being or lower state of health. And I'm talking about addictions, I'm talking about physical diseases, I'm talking about psychological diseases, and so on. These things, I think healthcare is not what we talk a lot about in the network state movement, but I do think we should. And I'm by far not a health expert, but as a Reiki master, as a Ayurveda specialist and Thai body massage specialist, I know how much we can use the skills and skill set that is basically what is called alternative medicine, bring that opportunity into the network state world, combine the, say, longevity technologies and all the amazing things that are happening in, say, Vitalia, right? And into the more spiritual and energetic health type of approach. This is, again, a little bit of a niche topic, but it's important. It's health.
Thank you. Like, I totally get your input. I just one thing what was mentioned, Tor. So I was running a co-living, and one guest I had, he was Italian. I don't remember his name, also doesn't matter. He was a lead developer of Tor. And he said, I want to have my residency in Malta. Can I register at Coco Hub? And theoretically it's possible because he was living there. But I said, no, I cannot do this because I don't feel safe enough. This guy was up in the air, he was so idealistic. He was like, oh, I'm not afraid of nothing. And I said, bro, if you're the lead developer of Tor, one of the lead developers, I cannot give you a rental agreement. I am too scared that the NSA is coming. And then at the same time, I had a guy from the NSA bragging about that he's working for the NSA, wanting to be my guest. And I said, no, I'm sorry. Like, I have limits here. So I refused.
Totally respected, Daniel. I think it was a good choice. I believe these kind of requests should not be. That's kind of actually not respectful to you and your community to make such a risk. And I believe these should be ghost locations or fake, anyway.
Yeah. So, but like we spoke about the gay Russians here in Malta who got kicked out for no particular reason, who got homeless. They settled here for a year and then suddenly you leave now in 2 weeks. What the fuck? Secondly, also that Tor developer maybe needs protection. Maybe he needs protection by other not powerful people, but energetic people who can protect him in the case someone is hunting his ass.
In that case, you got to communicate and make a solution together of what else is possible without needing to point all the pointers at you and your people, Daniel, right? Like it's really like figuring out together, because yes, these privacy people, they're lonely individuals, kind of like they're not socially, adapt to be able to ask for help, you see, and maybe he was, he saw you as a strong individual who could help him one way or another.
Or another example, which is really happening. So I don't know how many people are here in Malta with this nomad visa, but there is a community and there's a sub-community of people from Africa, nomads, because they are so happy about everything here. They have freedom and blah, and peace and security. And if someone would get kicked out because suddenly whatever any African country is banned by the US, trust me, they would go crazy and say, how can you kick out that guy from Zimbabwe? Like, why? They would go to the media and everyone would talk about this. But if just two lonely Zimbabweans get kicked out, they have no power. Everyone will whatever. So I think one of the products of a network state is that social security net. Like, we stand for each other. When we agree on certain values, like certain worldviews, and then you fight for that other person, maybe with love, not with aggression. Yeah.
Good times. Thanks, Daniel. Social security.
So, yeah, really, because you cannot buy it for money, right? They are talking about private armies, but think a little bit more bigger, Just something we should think about. Okay, so what is the time? It's we are now 73 minutes in. I think we can make it like 15 minutes more. So if anyone wants to take the mic, there you go. No one. Everyone is afraid. So maybe let me come up with a question. What are the next steps? So we are talking since 1.5 years, 2 years in that chat, and everyone is talking. My understanding is just to start, like really start on the ground, organize meetups. Everyone can organize meetups of you, It's not just us in Malta, even though we stopped a little bit in a moment, but we will restart. And I think if people really claim that they want to start a network state, first of all, they should be able to bring people together in their city. So this is something I would really like to see, because when we have 10 meetups happening maybe at the same time, at the same day at least, this already is a signal. And people will talk about us because we are on the radar. Clearly, New York Times wrote about the network state. We are on the radar. But we should be smart enough not to position us as... We should act intelligent and maybe really start a lot of local meetups and bring different people also to our movement. More females and different schools of thoughts, different cultures. I really would like to see that. Yeah.
A question to everyone. Go ahead.
Ed has been organizing a few meetups in London, which I attended. I think the biggest one had maybe like 6 or 7 people. Quite a few of the others just like me and one other guy. But I guess it's a start.
I have a question to
this
everyone.
Is something.
Daniel, I think it's something in line with what you were sharing. I have a question, maybe to you or everyone else. Is just where do you think we're like, what are we missing? What are our blind spots in terms of where to call in people? Is it from, say, like refi, world? Is it from regenerate, or is it from more of, pull in university professors in for theoretization, or maybe get more people who are builders of actual physical buildings? Like, what kind of people, what kind of voices you think are missing currently in our community?
First of all, to say something to John. So, like, we did network state meetups. We called it network state meetups. Then you have, let's say, here in Malta, because we already had the mailing list, 20, 30, maximum 40 people coming, okay? But there's a big correlation between what we are doing and other topics. which go in the same direction. Whatever, remote work, body and mind night, consciousness night, female power, female, not empowerment, but like female leadership night, crypto, of course, AI, all of those things. And then you not lure people into your movement, but all of those things belong together. And then it's a little bit of marketing, right? And then you bring people maybe to an entrepreneur's night or a body and mind night. We had 160 people here in Malta. And of course, I open the meetup and I speak about the big picture. And then I say, we need to have a solution. And this might be organizing ourselves in tribes in network states, because you cannot attack with such an intense topic. Starting your own country, people run away. They are afraid. They think this is bigger than life. You guys are crazy. So we also need to think a little bit in marketing terms and positivity, because that event I'm still dreaming about, and was so empowering. And then we educated over 1,200 people about the concept of network states. But just running a network state meetup, that's not enough. Also, then we put all of our eggs in one basket, Balaji. This is like playing Russian roulette. Sorry, this was not appropriate, but you know what I mean.
Can I jump in on that? Can I jump in and say something on that? It's me, Zev. I just wanted to say something about that because that's something I feel strongly about. I study sociology movements. I happen to be an attorney, but I have a background in sociology, biology. I worked in biology labs. Like a lot of people in the network state movement, I'm a curious person, right? We study the world. I'm a little older. I have some more experience. I've helped raise some kids. That's important. I think, you know, there's a conspicuous lack of attention to the idea of family structure in the network state movement, and this creates a major divide psychosocially. And the reason that's important is because Balaji is perceived as a culture leader, and that's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. You know, all things have two sides. It's very easy to see through his, you know, transparent worship of money. A lot of what he's talking about is nonsense. And at the same time, I love Balaji. I think he's great. I think he's doing something very good. But because of the nature of sociological movement, people tend to be like sheep. They tend to look at a leader and they tend to say, oh, his message is the message of God, right? And this is both a problem but an opportunity, because the question is whether a leader is sincere about creating a movement. Movements are more than about one person. They're about essentially collective leadership. You need a Congress, you need a parliament. And this parliament or Congress of adults with experience, wisdom, and maturity, and also something to lose, they can lead people, right? So I think Balaji is sincere personally, even though he comes from the crypto world, which is a world I come from. So I think it's like important to put the context about like what Balaji is doing, because that opens the door, Daniel, to people like you and other people who want to lead and become part of it. You're looking at people who are all staring at Balaji, and it's like a ridiculous thing. Some of it is he has money, but more of it is just attentional hacking. People want to be sheep. People want to follow, especially women. Women always want to follow, regardless of what they say. It's essentially biologically programmed into them. And I'm talking about statistical averages. I'm not talking about every single woman, right? It's easy to object and to create edge case objections in an argumentative framework, which is something I'm familiar with because lawyers like to do it. But you'll have to have a view of how the world works and the sociology of what a movement is. And then the question is, what is the network state about? Remember, new money is a false god. There's always new forms of money. Read the New Testament. Jesus talks about overthrowing the temple and the money changers. What is cryptocurrency but money changing? So all of this idea that the world is going to exist because of crypto, it's nonsense, right? But technology is fire. It's very powerful. We're living in the age of Prometheus with a new form of fire, and it's not just decentralized or, you know, proof of stake or whatever you want to call it with money. It's the whole idea of telecommunications, recording, accounting. That's important. And it's also coming alongside AI. It's also coming alongside new forms of hardware. And it's also coming alongside new forms of top-down attentional hacking from the authorities, right? No one in crypto is really talking seriously about COVID 3 years later. And this is a very important sign that there's a lot of unserious people in the crypto world, not just after money, but just because they're stupid and unserious. So if you're going to protect people and create something new, you have to actually understand what's already being done to you, which is all over the world, right? The COVID is not over. When I say COVID, I don't mean a so-called plague. I mean the notion of control by medical tyranny and other means of control, terrorism, war, all this bullshit. It's all fear, right? So the authorities control everyone on fear. And if you want to create communities that can withstand this, you have to understand the psychology of Matt's psychology formation with fear. So that's part of it. And Balaji doesn't talk about it because he's, forgive him, he knows not what he does. You can join in his conversation, but the important idea is to create a form of leadership. And the leadership cannot just be based on money. It has to be based on commitment and wisdom of the leaders. I don't know how many there's going to be, but it can't be more than a few hundred people. If you look historically, a few hundred is the limit for leadership. So anyway, I've said my piece.
So one thing I want to say to you, what you were saying about Ed is Ed is actually, he does the Network State meetup group, but he actually has many other meetup groups in London. And I think he, like, when you add up all the meetup groups he has, it's like 10,000. But I'm not sure whether he's actively trying to like cross-sell the Network State to the other meetup groups he's in. So maybe what?
I was talking about Balaji.
Yeah, but Dargo was talking about Ed beforehand, and I was just going to respond to Ed. He's got about 10,000 people in other meetup groups, but I don't think he's cross-selling the Network State to those other meetup groups. So I don't know, maybe you should have a conversation with Ed about how to cross-sell, because it seems like you've done that, so that might be valuable to Ed.
Definitely. I will do it, but in general, I just want to first respond to Seth. How you pronounce? How do I pronounce your name, Seth?
Either one's fine. I go by Zev, but some people call me Zeev.
Okay, Seth. Listen, we have to have a separate conversation about that, or a separate interview, because everything what I say 100% on point. The goal is not to create new patterns, not like a new pattern. The goal is to remove existing patterns. And totally, I just had a conversation with Astrid, who's also in the chat, about that we need to fork that movement, because I, of course, don't have the reach of Balaji, but I know that he took the idea and just branded it. So why should I put all of my life force in 7 years? I'm building that here with a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. Why should I put my destiny into his hands? That guy doesn't want to make his hands dirty because he's not driven by life force. He's driven by opportunity. He wants to create a new NFT-like investment thing. He's not sincere, because otherwise he would not invite those people to the Network State conference who are living in the matrix. But the thing is, I will not attack him. That's fine. He is there for a reason. But at one time, we stop playing, and we need to fork that movement. I like the word imagination. Yeah. So that's the thing. I also think he didn't understand what he's talking about, because he's thinking out of a little tiny American capitalist box. And you spoke about like the Testament, and that's right where we need to attack, not at religion. I don't like religion, but we should really go back why we are here, not to serve the American dollar. And if I say this and people say you are a crazy guy, it's like, yeah, but wait, this is the reason for the Third World War, and for, you know what I mean? So we need to think bigger. But I don't think it's the right time to fork that movement. But yeah, I don't understand why he never contacted us, was never in our chat. Is he that busy? If you are that rich, you also have time, right? So I totally agree. Most people are just watching, especially the crypto guys. They don't want to build a network state. They want to make money.
Let me just, religion can be a good thing. It's become a dirty word. It's a sociological word, really. And there's a lot of great thinkers. Auguste Comte recently, 150 years ago, great religious thinker. Emil Durkheim. There's a lot of, names, whatever. But ultimately, money is part of how people work. And so whether it's the American dollar or the British dollar or whatever government, right? Ultimately, people like to talk about gold and assets. I grew up in the gold business. My dad just melted gold every day. That's what he did. He bought gold and he melted gold. Money is transactional. It doesn't matter if it's gold or if it's crypto or if it's the US dollar. The networks that money flows in are always transactional networks, meaning people don't really care about each other. The question is about how do you integrate the idea of money as a technology with the idea of people caring about each other? And it's a hard thing to do. It's hard to do, but you know, transactional versus personal are it's the yin yang of existence. And this is, I think, what the opportunity is here, because technology is a terrible master. It's a terrible master. It will enslave us all. Or we can use technology as a tool to serve us and in this way grow tremendously. A lot of people are Luddites. They want to run away from technology and run away from the fire. Personally, I want to run into the fire and take the fire and make the fire controlled, right? This is the story really of the gods, and it's the struggle between man and the gods. This is how I see it, the myth. So, you know, this is the tough part anyway.
100%. And I'm always an advocate of Crypto 2.0, which is mined by being human. I'm not the only one talking about this, but I think it's too soon. It's about human interaction. You can start in a small scale in the co-living. How do I empower people if someone is preparing a dinner, okay, and you would like to reward him, but not by giving him €5, thank you for cooking. This feels awkward if you live together and you see him in trunks, you know, in shorts, running to the kitchen every morning. So we need Crypto 2.0, which is parasite proof. You can buy it, probably for fiat, but it should be soul bound. But this is a different topic. We should have a different panel. And I really, really like your viewpoint and also like your ability to explain it from a spiritual and academic level. Definitely, we need a new form of money. And I only tell you something. I met a guy from the Boston Global Forum. He was part of our group, unfortunately, because he lured me into his magic. And I pitched him the idea of Crypto 2.0. You know, which is parasite proof. You cannot buy it because crypto is just now, with central bank digital currency, it's just fiat 2.0, if you really think it true, because it's really hard to cash out. Anyway, and he responded so well to my idea of a new form of money. He already pitched me ideas, and I was like, where do those ideas come from? So I think the big guys are already thinking about, he had like the idea of like a dynamic inflation rate. If someone is accumulating a lot of money, is nice, because we are humans. You should do whatever you like and make a lot of money, but then basically is forced to spend it again and put it back into like a circular economy. All those crazy ideas I didn't fully grasp, but we are not the only ones speaking about this, and Crypto 2.0 will come, because crypto can be shut down tomorrow. The crypto guys really think they are sovereign. Oh, God damn it. They can destroy Bitcoin tomorrow if they want.
Yeah,
but they don't want, because they pay.
I'm more cynical. I believe that at this point, Bitcoin is co-opted. So, you know, I've been in so I was a lawyer. I worked on the great financial crisis coming out of law school. I went to a fancy pants law school. I should not. Law school was let's just say that there's academics and there's reality, right? In the reality, when you work in a big law firm like a Wall Street law firm, you understand that the world is run by cabals. Everything is inside of a boardroom. All real decisions are made inside of a boardroom. That's just how reality is. Nobody likes to accept it. People talk about politics, democracy, voting. Okay. So when everything falls apart, this is how I started in crypto. I was younger. I had more testosterone. I was working out more. I was very angry about the banks. The banks are the kings and they lie about it. This is the big trick, right? We don't live in a democracy. We live in a world of kingship as always, but the kings are the bankers. And that's how it is. A young man discovers this and gets very angry. The crypto people discover this and use it to sell Bitcoin. And the bankers are not stupid. They co-opted Bitcoin. They co-opt the markets because everything's connected. So personally, I believe that Bitcoin is co-opted. That doesn't mean it's all bad. We're not living in a black and white world. It's gray. But when Balaji and other people talk about, you know, Bitcoin maximalism, you know, you take it with a grain of salt because they're worshiping money, and this money is integral with the banking system of the US, the euro, the yen, you know, and this is the nature of money. It's like, it's very easy to flow. So what can you do, right? Like that's part of the discussion. And like you said, with Money 2.0, if you're creating your own monies, there's so much potential, right? Everyone knows this is revolutionary, and we just started. It could take 100 years. Things happen fast. 100 years is only like really 3-4 generations, and we are in such a fast technological revolution. For example, I bicycle since I'm 13 years old. I live in Manhattan. The subway is slow. I'm very fast on a bicycle. I was a bike messenger. I loved bicycling in the street. It was dangerous. It was like a video game for me. It still is, but I bike slow now. I'm older. And by the way, Amsterdam, I won't even get into that, but bicycling is a new technology. Bicycling is only 200 years old. We were born with legs and walking, and before that, so people really, we're very short in our time span, in our perception of time, because we only have one life. And also our emotions are up and down. And the reality is, you have only so many years to have a child if you want to have a family. So there's time constraints in our social and mental world, but technology is transgenerational. So we have to really think about this long term. But I'm talking too much, so I will stop. Thank you so much, Daniel, for tolerating.
We make a separate panel or even like a discussion group about money, crypto 2.0. Because the thing is, when you start to mine your own currency in your local nodes, because this is what is happening, someone is offering an activity, we're organizing a meetup. This is how we're starting, playing kindergarten, okay? But someone is putting effort in, and really people want to reward that person for organizing a meetup because it's nice. They have a nice time, they are dancing. What I want to say is, how do you want to regulate that? No one can come, you cannot be humans. Like, you cannot mine that through being human. Can this be qualified as money? And that's the thing, we should develop something which cannot be qualified as money, because you cannot buy it for the old money. And if you cannot buy it for the old money, maybe because it's soul bound, whatever, I don't know. But we should continue that discussion. I'm really happy to meet you. And yeah, let's create a Telegram group, Crypto 2.0, whatever. Yeah.
Hi, Zev.
Nice guys,
Sorry.
Michelle.
Yeah, I wanted to
Yeah.
add something. Hi, Zev. Very interesting points. I was curious to know which kind of leaders do you see, let's say, shaping up? Because you mentioned the 100 leaders. Which traits you think that they should share?
I mean, historically, when you look at the foundation of different, whether it's a state or a religion, there's always groups of people, right? So it's like the basic attributes. I mean, if you read, actually, it's actually really good. Most people, even Jewish people, don't know about the Mishnah. The Mishnah is the sort of follow-up to the Old Testament that was written for hundreds of years later. The last book of the Mishnah talks about how to form groups of people that are essentially judges. And you can call them judges, parliamentarians, but the qualities are simple. They have to be trustworthy. They have to be smart, obviously. They have to be humble. There's basic qualities, just, the Christian virtues, right? Like, and the cardinal sins. You have to stay away from people who are sucked into, let's say, problematic behaviors, gambling, addiction, being unreliable, like this is very important. Basically, anybody who's in a group of leaders must be capable of being a witness. And when you are a witness, you are testifying towards judgment. And when you judge people, that's a very serious thing, because that can result in a collective decision to kill someone, right? That really is what punishment is. When you look at the Old Testament, when you look at the modern state, I'm personally not really in favor of capital punishment, but most people who are against the idea of killing as justice, they neglect the idea of sort of what is the idea of consummate leadership, right? When you have a group of people, there's no real rules as to reward and punishment. So you can say the death penalty is bad, but that's a separate issue. Conceptually, you have to have people who are willing to take it to the extreme of judgment, which is good and bad. You cannot have people that are willing to hold back. And what that means is you have to have very trustworthy people. If you have someone who's willing to testify that someone else killed someone, and this maybe means that they should be killed, then that person's willing to kill someone as justice. Now, you can call it murder or you can call it punishment. These are just words. You have to have people who are very serious, not kidding around people, right? And not people who are willing to sort of allow that kind of language of joking around into a discussion. And I'm going to sound very chauvinist, but I was raised in a very feminist family, and I'm very respectful of women. I'm actually incredibly respectful of women, but I think modern culture has twisted the way of thinking, which is why I qualify what I'm about to say. Women really who have not had children and raised children, there's something to say versus men in general. Like, should a woman be able to be part of a group of people that is willing to judge people? So you're talking about qualities, right? One of the problematic qualities of being a human being is whether we can reproduce directly as a woman and have a baby or as a man. Very different thing. So it's a very big question. Can women who are childless be part of a group like this? Personally, I'm chauvinist, so I think it's mostly men, if not exclusively men. But if it's women, they have to have already successfully raised children. That's what I personally believe, because I believe that's a litmus test for success as a woman. Doesn't mean I'm against women who don't have children, but I could be wrong. There's no right and wrong. You need people to come together and say, what are the qualities of leaders, right? In the Bible, okay, I'm a short guy, I'm 5'5". In the Mishnah, it says that the leader should be tall. And I think that's great. I like tall people. All my good friends were tall growing up. So I laugh, and it's like, okay, maybe back then tall was 5'6". I don't, I don't know. But the idea of what leadership is, it's important, and people have to agree on it. And it's never perfect, but it's a very serious business. It's a very serious business. That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for your answer. But so basically, this means that they should be able to have the closest proximity to ground truth, because how can one judge if it doesn't know what is true or what is false?
Yeah. I mean, you can't be like 20 years old. A leader, in my opinion, now that I'm older, I'm 43, knowing how I know about myself and when I was younger, there's a lot of very wise and smart 20-year-olds, and maybe once in a blue moon you get one. But life is suffering. You have to go through the process of suffering and joy and experience and wisdom to gain an understanding of ground truth. That's what I believe. I've come to believe this. And it sounds like I'm an old man, but I don't feel old. I'm in good shape. It's just knowing what I know. It looks like leadership needs to be at least a certain minimum age. In the U.S. Constitution, it says that the president of the United States minimum age is 35, I believe, or 40 or 35. It might be 40. So age, all of these things. Age, health is important. You don't want people who are terminally ill. You can't have someone who's a leader that's worried about death every day. Like this. These are issues, right? So it's like something to think about. And of course, mental capacity, right? If someone has Alzheimer's, these kinds of things. There's so many lists. You can go down, but that's basically it.
Yes, absolutely. And also, of course, the source of information that they feed upon. So that's another problem, but that is a whole other different question about sense making, in my view. Anyway, thank you, honestly, Ziv.
Regarding leadership, though, I mean, do we really just want to recreate a top-down hierarchical society where, are we just going to build another sort of network dictatorship? Is that the idea? I mean, I'm not sure we want to have leaders that sort of lord it over everyone else.
Hey, look, this is a big question for the ages, right? The anarchists versus the organizationalists. I'm somewhere in between. I think everybody in crypto has a little bit of an anarchist in them, but at the end of the day, I love evolutionary biology. If you ask how are human beings structured, you look to primates. A mother is a dictator. A mother is a dictator, right? So when you say you don't like dictatorship, you have to really dig into this question, because biologically, at the very foundational levels of what it is to be a human being, a Homo, erectus, even before we are Homo sapien, means that we're a blank slate born into a dictatorship. And guess what? If you don't have that dictator, if you don't have a good mother, you're in a very bad position. Without dictatorship of the mother to the child, basically.
Sure. Like, at the end of the day, the issue is that nation states and corporations already exist. So, the leaders already exist. corporations already exist, hierarchies already exist. So like, what's the point of just reproducing the same stuff we already had? I mean, why not just go join a political party and or start a political party or start a standard company? Why not just start do everything in the existing system? If we just want to create another leadership, the leader who's in charge of everyone. I mean, what are we doing that's new?
It's a great
with Web3
question.
then.
So I think when you look at the history of social organization, there's always the social organizations that are supra, right? These are usually governments because they tend towards and are defined by excessive coercion. And then you have voluntarism, which is usually religions. But religion often in the past was merged with the state. So the word religion and government, I always like to talk about defining terms because words are always sloppy and messy. It's their simultaneous strength and their simultaneous weakness. So supra and infra, so the lower organizations that would rebel against supra organizations because they wanted to leave, exit, whatever you want to call it, often enough, some people would try to do a revolution, and that is basically coercion with coercion, right? It's just violence with violence, and that's a game that exists. We all know it exists, and that's part of a material dialectic in history. But at the same time, there's other people that just want to like drop out and start their own organizations. You can call them cults, intentional communities, all sorts of these communities that do their own thing, and they're primarily premised on voluntarism. Now, you can call that religious voluntarism or not, but just because it's primary voluntarism doesn't mean that coercion is completely absent, right? If you have 10 people and one of them has a bad day and they steal a little bit of food, you have to shame that person or ostracize them. That is a form of punishment. That is a form of violence. Without violence, right, without judgment and discrimination, you can have no social organization to begin with. So the positioning of, government and revolution versus anarchy on the other side and total flatness or anarchical social behavior, this sort of bifurcation and juxtaposition is in some sense a false separation, right? There's spectrums of behavior, coercion and voluntarism. Even in government, there is some voluntarism, as bad as it looks like right now, right? We're looking at World War III, but we see...
So I would agree with that, but there's still it seems to me pretty pointless to start a new organization that just completely reproduces the old organization. So if we're basically saying, like, I think we really need to think carefully, like, what are we doing that isn't the same as a corporation or a state? If we're going to go for it, because the whole leadership thing, it sounds quite traditional. And maybe the answer is that we're all wasting our time. We should just join a company instead and not bother with this network state thing. But at the same time, like, we have to, like, if we're going to do this network state, there's not much point in just completely reproducing the exact same power structure organization that already exists. So we really have to think, what are we doing that's new if we're going to go for this leadership thing?
There's radical exchange. There's a lot of groups out there in crypto that want to sort of, describe new forms of governance. You have quadratic voting. You have different forms of governance for housing and property dynamics. I mean, all of these things need to be discussed 100%. Now, quadratic voting, I think, is very cool, but it's still voting. So you could say, I mean, as you just did, that, well, you're just reproducing the same new thing with a different algorithm. Little tweaks, little changes can be very significant. And there's no escaping our biology. We still need organization. We need human organization. That's without question. In fact, the people who are coercive at the very top of society, all of the major governments, their major tool of coercion is not the gun, but it's just distraction, right? We're talking about Aldous Huxley and the world of distraction, the society of spectacle. So what they do is they distract everybody, and then people say, "Oh, how do we organize? We don't even know how to organize. We're too distracted watching television or sports or something like this." So entertainment is really the way to distract people from social organization. And the other side is also just throwing a wrench and saying, well, we don't need organization and all organization is bad. This is a wrench. To tell people that all organization is bad is to the flip side. You're endorsing chaos. You're endorsing disorganization. And this is what the organized hierarchical coercive structures, what they thrive on. They thrive on the stupidity and distractibility of the masses. And they spend and invest a lot of time in figuring that out, right? You have Fabian Society, you have all sorts of these psychological associations, which are brilliant. And I really do study them and I'm impressed by them, but intent is everything. And their intent is simply to control people for those above. So, okay, that's what they're doing. That's their game. So you have to figure out, how do you maybe reproduce or do things differently hierarchically? But without hierarchy and without organization, there's no way of moving forward, right? Wisdom and age and other qualifying factors show that some people are more capable of leading other people. A baby, a child, is not capable of leading anybody. The idea that democracies will have people who are 14 years old voting, why not have dogs voting? Why not have animals voting? I mean, this is already about the triviality of collective decision making. You know, and people go through this. They attempt to trivialize it at the highest levels. And frankly, our democracies, we know that they're all subverted and they are trivialized, right? They're run by intelligence agencies. They're not run by politicians or whoever you think you're voting for. So to be honest and to be sincere is to be open, to say, this is my face, this is my name, this is a group, and there's no one else behind the person, right? And then you start to have a question of leadership. Who's qualified? I mean, you be sincere about it. That's the path forward, not to just say, well, we're reproducing the past. It's no good. Throw the baby out with the bathwater. I mean, it's like, okay, but people have to organize, whether they did it for good reasons or bad reasons, they still have to do it. This is it's psychological question of sociological organization. But anyway, okay, I'm talking way too much, but
but super valuable and super interesting input. I just want to basically give my viewpoint with really practical examples. So first of all, I think it's a free market of thoughts, and in the end, the people will decide whom to follow. I don't see myself as a leader. I see myself as a gate opener. So when I meet people in real life, I would never put myself above them. I would even put myself below them or next to them, be the gate opener. We are doing this together. But honestly, in the beginning, quite frankly, I organized that call. I decided that this is today. If I would open up the governance in Telegram group, guys, what do we do now? No one will take the initiative and say we do it like that. So I need to be the leader until we really get serious and my decisions can affect someone's life. Then we need to have technology. Let's say, stupid example, Telegram group, 246 people are inside, and I have a conflict with someone. And that happened before, and there are also people in that group where this happened before, and we have a different viewpoint and we fight. And me, my ego tells me, let's kick that person out because I don't want to, you know, confront myself with that like this discussion. Should I be able to kick a citizen out as Daniel? Certainly not. You know, I should not be the decision maker. So we need technology in order to prevent this from happening. And then the second thing is there is a second guy, he's from Belarus. His name is Ray. He has a futurestate.tv is his project, and he also wants to start a network state for nomads. I, by the way, say nomads, no dash mads. We are not mad. So that's my filter. We are based on ground reality, whatever ground reality is. So he is in favor of universal basic income, even though when it comes with central bank digital currency. I, as a guy coming from East Germany, in general, don't have this technology even in place because it's only a matter of time until we have the next Hitler. It's just basic statistic, basic thinking. And that's why I'm absolutely against even put such a system in place. I'm also against putting a digital ID system in place for your health data because we knew this was a wrong decision, what they did. There was never any scientific rectification for giving this vaccine to young and healthy men. No one can rectify this with any statistics and any rational thinking. So out of the sudden, you were excluded from your society, even though you acted absolutely scientific and rational and not emotional, like most of the people who looked up for a leader. So coming back to close the loop, he is in favor of putting that. I am against it. We will have a discussion. He called me conspiracy, and I was like, wait a minute. We did this 4 years ago, and we want to repeat that. So let's hop in a discussion. I put my thoughts, and he put his thoughts. And in the end, the people will decide who is closer to their truth. I am not the judge. I can only put my arguments out there, and people will decide. So, yeah. That's what I think. We need leaders who are gate openers, and we need to limit their power by technology. And this is where blockchain comes into play. So yeah. Okay, if there are any questions, I think we should raise them now. Otherwise, we will wrap it up because we spoke now for nearly 2 hours. And I will use that everything what we recorded, probably not publish it, I don't know, but I will use the transcription and write a nice article about what we discussed. So we will repeat that talk. I have to decide, maybe we do it weekly again, or bi-weekly, or monthly. Let's see. But it was really nice. I was really happy to have this discussion without negativity. Jim, interesting to hear different perspectives, even with this group of less than 10. Yeah, of course you can do some marketing and bring more people there, but then you have 50 people and it just gets chaos. So it's more about quality than quantity. Very glad to hear this conversation. Profound. Okay, guys. So yes, just join the Telegram group. I will post the links there. We can have our discussions there. And yeah, we keep it. Thanks everyone for showing up and then for hosting. Yes, Natalia, greetings. And during the next conversation, we will have the MET operator, crypto MET operator, talking about the network state camp, and we have Susanna from Freedom talking about her regen farm she is starting in Portugal.
Thanks, Daniel.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Daniel. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.
Namaste.
Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Ciao, John. Ciao, Michelle. Michelle, are you here in Malta? We can go out for a beer. No, he already left. We meet for a beer, Michelle, when you... Yeah? Tomorrow? Text me. In Valletta. Ciao, ciao.